Kayla. For those of you who don't know me, it's nice to meet you. So I grew up in the Catholic Church. My family attended church pretty regularly. Um, my parents made church a priority in the household without shoving or forcing. Growing up, I've always had a relationship I always had Jesus in my life, and I always wanted to get closer to him. So to tell you the exact day that I accepted Jesus into my life is a little unknown for me, which is why I always thought I had a boring testimony or faith story. But God is funny, and he says, just wait. I'm about to share with you two situations in my life that made my relationship with God the strongest it's ever been. Here's a picture of me, 24 years old, in May of 17. April 3rd, 2017, I had a grand mal seizure at Clinical of Nursing School in my first semester, the one realistic job I've always dreamed of becoming. Because of this life-altering event, I had to make a decision to medically withdraw from school. I was confused by what had happened and unsure of what was going to happen to my nursing career. I remember my professor telling me, if you were my daughter, I would highly encourage you to withdraw. And with that consideration, I did withdraw from college. My number one dream, done and gone. I didn't know what my life was going to look like moving forward. I was stuck with questions. Will I ever be a nurse? Will I ever be able to go back to school? My short-term memory loss was becoming a barrier for simple everyday life that I was worried I would never be able to take an exam again. I couldn't remember names of people I just met. And still to this day, names are still a challenge to remember. Not only did I have a grand mal seizure, but during an MRI done for further testing to find the cause of my seizure, my doctor found a mass on the back right side of my brain, which was not even the cause of my seizure. And they monitored for a year and a half, and there was no change in size. 2017 into 2018 was a life-altering year, but also a year I knew I had to trust God completely and cling to him only. I remember God telling me continuously, be still and know that I am God. God told me to be still, and that is exactly what I needed. My brain needed the rest in order to heal. Although I was never mad at God for what had happened to me, I would be lying if I said I wasn't scared about my future and what it was going to look like. But I held true to his word of being still and knowing he is God. In 2021, I started having headaches for a few months every day. As the headaches continued for a few months, I started to be concerned that maybe the tumor was the cause of the headaches. I called neurology. I had an EEG done to see if there was still seizure activity, which by this time I had stopped taking medications for roughly 2 to 3 years, along with a new MRI scan. There was no seizure activity on the EEG, and the MRI scan had showed a change in size. Instead of growing, it was gone. No more tumor. God is good. For days, weeks, and months, I wondered how this could be. I wondered how they could have missed the tumor. I wondered if they compared the tumors or the MRIs as they had said. And I also thought, there's no way that it could have gone away. The only thing I can say is with God, anything is possible, even the impossible. In December of 19, I graduated as a medical assistant, and that still wasn't enough for me. So I went back to school. In March of 2023, my sister pinned me, and I graduated as an LPN. And in 6 short weeks from tomorrow, I will be taking my very last nursing school class. Thank you. But that's not all. Shifting gears to 2023, this is the second life impact. I was in a search for a new church that felt like home where I was being fed the word, getting life application sermons, and bonus points for good worship. Between my first and third week at Centerpoint, Aaron had been talking about the upcoming baptism, and up until this point, being born again wasn't for me. I was baptized as a Catholic, so I just thought that was enough. But this talk about baptism was different. You see, up until this point, I was carrying around trauma for 2 decades. I had just started counseling and I was on my healing journey. Hearing Aaron talking about baptism, I couldn't stop the tears from flowing that service. God had told me to give the trauma to him in the weight I've been carrying around for 2 decades. I was so ashamed of the trauma, I was afraid to even give it to God. But I was also so worn out. He said to me, "You are my daughter, and nothing is too big or too small for me." You see, my professor said, "If you were my daughter." God told me, "You are my daughter." Sometimes he has to use the same language. So in August 27th of 2023, along with my mom, we were baptized. And since being baptized, my life looks different now. I'm no longer angry and outraged due to my trauma. I'm no longer bitter, but instead my hope is in Jesus. I have joy in my life because I have Christ. I prioritize my time with the Bible in Bible studies, and my Bible is beginning to look a little like this. I'm joining life groups and coming to church on Sunday mornings, and it also means that I've given up some control. I've given up control of money and now I give 10% first. I've given up control of relationships and dating, which were the two areas of my life that I wanted full control of prior. But most importantly, I want heaven to be the most crowded place that I've ever been. I want everyone, family, friend, and stranger, to know the love of God that I've experienced. And my daily prayer is not my will, but His be done. Thank you.